Something feels off. Not in one place, but everywhere. It's not loud, not obvious, but it's there. And I can't be the only one who notices. Prices going up again, conversations about politics feeling more and more tense than they used to. The sense that even when you try to follow what's happening in the world, it's harder to make sense of any of it.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats.
Nothing feels completely broken yet. Nothing feels completely stable either. Just slightly out of place. Like something underneath everything has shifted. We are just seeing the surface of it. And when you start paying closer attention, it becomes harder to explain with just one cause. Because it's not like it's just the economy, not just politics, the media. It's all of them moving in the same direction. And when multiple systems begin to shift together like this, it may not feel like change at first, but it definitely feels like something is off. Not because the world is visibly breaking, but because it's slowly adjusting. We can all see the clearest signs of it in the global economy, right? Over the past few years, the cost of living has increased across much of the world. Not in one country or region, I mean across the entire system. Food, energy, rent, the things that we all rely on every day, all becoming more expensive at the same time. Of course, it's not just random. When the global supply chains broke during COVID, it didn't just delay goods, it exposed how fragile this system we all rely on really was. With Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it didn't just start a regional war. It disrupted grain exports and energy flows and global pricing. And even when the governments indirectly affected tried to patch things up, printing more money, adjusting interest rates, imposing tariffs, those decisions, they didn't stay local. They spread. Policies like trade tariffs pushed with the Trump administration, those weren't just political statements. They reshaped pricing and supply chains and global trade relationships, important relationships. And when all of those things overlap, the system doesn't collapse outright. No. It tightens. Things will still work, just not as easily as they used to. Even pressure built up like that doesn't stay in one place. You see it at the same time. Our political system as a whole have been shifting too. Not all at once, of course, and not in the same way everywhere, but enough to be noticeable for sure. Trust in institutions is at an all-time low. Elections feel more divisive and polarizing than ever before. Leadership feels less certain. In some places, that instability turns into something more visible. The war in Ukraine, the ongoing crisis in Gaza, civil conflict in Sudan. But even beyond active wars, tensions continue to build between major powers across trade routes, around strategic choke points. Take the Strait of Hormuz.
The Strait of Hormuz.
The Strait of Hormuz.
The Strait of Hormuz.
Strait of Hormuz.
These are not isolated events. They are what I personally believe to be signals. Signals that the system itself is under heavy strain. And over time, we may come to feel that strain. Not always directly though. Perhaps in the background, in uncertainty and division, in the sense that things are becoming harder to predict. And even understanding what's simply happening has changed too. Even though the world is much more connected, the way we experience the world is no longer shared. Not in the same way it used to anyways. There was a time when large groups of people saw roughly the same version of events, for better or worse. The same headlines, same framing. Today, that's all fragmented. For instance, two people can follow the same story, right? And come away with completely different conclusions. I mean, it's not like one of them is necessarily lying, but more so they are seeing different inputs on the same topic. You know, different sources, different incentives and algorithms. All those systems, they are not neutral. They are designed to keep attention, which often means amplifying what is emotional, immediate, uncertain. Over time, that will just simply create something that is subtle yet powerful. A world where people are not just disagreeing online and in comment sections, they are quite literally experiencing different realities. And in that kind of environment, Confusion is never an accident, it's just a byproduct.
The air was so thick with tear gas she couldn't breathe.
The truth of the matter is, when we zoom out far enough, all of this begins to line up perfectly. Underneath all of these changes, the structure of the world itself is fundamentally shifting. For decades, global power followed a relatively stable pattern. Relatively. After the Cold War,
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
there was a sense, implicit or explicit, that the system as a whole had a center. But that moment is fading rapidly. Power is not consolidated anymore, not like it used to anyways. It is spreading. Influence is being redistributed, and oftentimes no longer through heavy military actions. Emerging global superpowers like China have adopted a soft power approach of expanding their reach and influence. Regional powers are acting more independently now, and as that balance continues to shift, stability obviously becomes harder to maintain. This isn't anything new. I mean, when the Great War ended, the entire global system fractured. That led into economic collapse and political upheaval, which of course led to the Second World War. And immediately after that, an entirely new structure had to be built to restore order, or some semblance of it at least. But today, we are not at collapse. Look, I'm not trying to fearmonger here. I'm simply saying we are in a transition, a period where the old system no longer fully fits and the new one hasn't fully formed. So you better believe that the old guard is not going down without a fight, if history has taught us anything. When all of these things happens at once, economic pressure, political instability, fragmented information,
like I'm putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
shifting global power, it creates a very specific feeling. Maybe not of certain chaos or collapse, not World War III, but tension. A world that still functions but feels less stable. A system that still works yet feels like it's adjusting in real time. The thing is, we don't experience systems, we experience the pressure those systems create. And that feeling that something is off might not be some far-fetched conspiracy after all. It might just be what it feels like to live through a moment where the world is changing slowly and not in obvious ways, but everywhere at the same time.